they are these surprising little weirdos. They have such a rich internal life that they hide from everyone because the way they have experienced the world is as incredibly overwhelming. It's just so chaotic and overwhelming. And so they are deeply, deeply sensitive little hermit crabs.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Enduring Grief, Healing Practices, and True Stories of Living After Loss. Today is one of the episodes I've probably looked most forward to because I had to learn the term slide into a DM. My 16-year-old had to help me with that because I slid into this woman's DM and just said, "Hey, I like your stuff, want to talk?" And she was kind enough to say yes. And our exciting and powerful guest today is Elizabeth Orr, author of The Unfiltered Enneagram, one of my go-to books right here. And I just think that the Enneagram has become such an important part of my life, certainly the grief process, and the way that Elizabeth is able to bring Enneagram and humor together is quite spectacular. And so, Elizabeth, tell us something about yourself or being here today.
Well, I am delighted that you did slide into my DMs. That was truly a delight. I'm Liz, Elizabeth, if you're in my immediate family. I live in North Carolina. I was raised outside of Boston, and this will mean more by the end of the episode, but I'm a mean old 8, which I know Sarah and I share in common. So big fan of the Enneagram, have been a fan and a nerd of it for many years now. And it's been fun to have that sort of veer into my professional sphere.
Yeah. Well, what is your professional sphere?
Yeah, so I work in higher education. Specifically right now, I work in what we call med ed, medical education. I am a personal and professional development coach. So bedside manner for doctors, but also
Good.
Well-being, community and culture, academic success, of course, career exploration. Our office specifically works and our work is made possible by this really cool grant that focuses on character in medicine. So thinking about cultivating integrity and the person you want to be beyond just the kind of professional accomplishments you want to move toward. So it's really fun work. I've been in higher ed for over a decade now. I was a chaplain for many years, but recently jumped over to the coaching world, and it's been just as meaningful and fun.
Heck yeah, because it's all about the patient, right? Like you're just teaching, and that ultimately for docs and medical providers to learn to care for themselves and ways to transform their own suffering and their experience is just so key. And clearly trickles down to patient care. I remember I used to do medical social work, and we'd be in the hospital, and you just have these kind of old school providers that just talked over the patient constantly and referred to the patient as the patient, even though they're just sitting right there. Like, hello, it's a person in a bed. You can talk to them too. It's good to shift that culture.
We're trying.
Well, the mission of Clear Mourning, which is the organization I started, is to shift the culture of grief through support, innovation, and awareness. And I'm sort of always poking around the world looking for new ways to talk about grief and new tools for people to use in their grieving process or their supporting process, because I think there's as much effort that could go into shifting the culture around what it means to support a griever as much as like actually marching through the grief process yourself. And I can't help but think there's room for the Enneagram in that innovative part of my mission statement to shift the culture of grief, because I'm going to sell this idea to you for free today. I mean, let's do a book on, that's what my 7-year-old always tells me. I'm going to tell you that for free, Mom. And then last night my son said, Lou, you should probably start telling people things for a fee, not for free. Mom never tells anyone anything for free. Anyhow, I digress. But like, what if there was a book specifically addressing the grief response through the Enneagram?
Yeah.
Did we just make $1 million?
I hope so. I think in a couple years,
I need $1 million.
Well, a few people don't, but
right. But we do, damn it.
We do. And we would be good stewards of it. So
yes, we would. Yes. Okay, so tell me, like when I say that, what about the grief experience in the Enneagram? Like what flows through your mind?
Yeah, I think the way that I like to talk about the Enneagram and our Enneagram types is that it's how we learned how to survive in the world. Um, and it's how we learn to navigate the grief that we've experienced in our lives. The capital G grief, the lowercase G grief, the capital T trauma, the lowercase t trauma. It is how we perceive the world and then how we respond to the world. And just like just like anyone who's grieving, we're doing our best. But so often, our best is a moving target, right? It's a sliding scale. And our Enneagram, I mean, you are familiar with my work, Sarah, but I tend to focus on the sort of negative, grimy pieces of the Enneagram types because I think there's real power in confronting and owning those things. But those, even the things that make us cringe, are our best attempts at dealing with a hard situation. And so I think the Enneagram really speaks to the human condition of grief and how we just trying to navigate it and get through it.
Yeah, I love that. And maybe I got ahead of myself. Like, actually, Elizabeth, will you tell us what you would tell somebody who knows nothing about the Enneagram?
Yes. So usually where I start is it is a tool. It's a framework. Sometimes people describe it as a personality typing system. It is that. It is more than that. It offers us a really powerful language for understanding ourselves, for having greater compassion for ourselves. And that extends into the way that we can hold compassion for others and extend compassion for others. It describes 9 equally valid, if limited, perspectives on the world. So if we were to go around the Enneagram symbol, which is a circle, and visit each point, which is each type, and each type would describe how they see the world, what they believe to be fundamentally true about the world, you'd say, yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, the ones are right. The world is really messy and unfair. And the 2s are right. There's a lack of love in the world. And yeah, the 6s are right. The world is a really dangerous place. And also, it's a limited perspective. We all kind of have these, I think in the book, I described it as our like drunk goggles that kind of creates this distortion, which then is how we are navigating the world as we perceive it. The Enneagram gives us language for that. It also gives us a glimpse of this sort of like beautiful gift that we have to offer the world by birthright of our Enneagram type, and really what we're kind of meant to do in the world when we get out of our own way and when we relax and we just let this gift flow through us. So it captures this really full spectrum of us as humans, and it's a powerful tool for transformation and connection and compassion.
Beautifully said. And it's just so, it's so helpful. It teaches, I mean, I think that sometimes with clients, I'm like, if I'm just going to go ahead and guess that you're a 2, or I'm going to go ahead, or I'll just do it in my mind, because it really helps me customize my approach. And so as like a supporter to a griever, if you, the supporter, know, hey, my griever is acting like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even if we don't know, and we're certainly not going to require them to take a test in a moment of acute grief, but it can help you understand the world through their lens, right?
Yes.
And so I can only imagine that a 9, who is the peacemaker, would experience grief so differently than mean old, what do you call us? Mean old, dirty old
Yeah, as big old bullies.
Yeah, like I'm pissed off most of the time about grief, And then I'm like, there was my dad, a classic 9, and the grief killed him. Like literally he's dead from the grief. And I think that, I mean, obviously it's not his Enneagram number that killed him, but like the way in which he could synthesize information and the ability to, the profound need to keep the peace in a situation where there was absolutely no peace in sight.
Yeah. Right.
It lines up. I wish he wasn't dead. And obviously there's biological factors and all the things, but ultimately like it killed him. Because I think that he looked and he thought, peace is everything to me. And this is like about the most unpeaceful thing.
Right.
I'm out.
And nines just they are in so many ways they are this like shock pad. They absorb, right? They absorb the turmoil and the conflict, and they just sort of take it within themselves. But they also numb so that it doesn't rattle them and it doesn't move them. And just like years and years of that, a lifetime of that, it's just such a heavy, exhausting burden to carry.
It sure as heck must be. I certainly wouldn't understand it because it seems as if I just disrupt the piece as my as my MO. But and when you think about the type, like who could you say like, this type of griever, just give us an example of like how one would support a griever at this number.
Yeah. Do you want me to just kind of go around the circle and say,
well, sure. Or like maybe we start with us, right? Like what's the best way to support an 8?
Absolutely. And that is the traditional way to teach the Enneagram anyway. You start with 8. So 8s, eights. Even if you don't know someone as an 8, you'll when you kind of hear this description, you go, oh yeah, that's my partner, father, boss, whatever. 8s are a large and charged type. Big, hot flashes of anger that pass quickly. 8s like to stir the pot. We like to kind of manufacture a little rumble because it helps us get to what we believe is the truth. And so 8s in their grief, 8s, for as big and prickly and controversial as they enjoy coming across, I would contend that 8s are actually the softest types on the Enneagram. We have a squishy heart, a very tender core. And so we get
I think the people that know us best would agree with that. Like they know that I will say yes to everything if I can help you.
Exactly. They do know that. And one of the sort of like beautiful words to describe the 8 is magnanimous.
Okay.
Just incredibly generous, incredibly like giving and generous and forgiving. But not everybody experiences the 8 as that. And 8s tend to be very in charge and very practical. So when they are grieving, they're going to move to, let's just get shit done. Like, let's get done what needs to happen. Let's do the thing that makes sense. And emotionally, they can really experience it more as anger rather than sadness. And I can certainly point to moments in my life where I was kind of even anticipating the passing of someone, and I was just so mad at them because I was like, like there's suffering here. Like, just let's wrap this up. And then as soon as they passed, I was like, oh, like, oh, that was grief. I was sad that
right.
Sort of trying
to. In September, my business partner passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. And every time I say her name, I like want to go like this because I am filled with like, damn you.
Right.
How dare you have died?
I know. I know. So to support that kind of spark plug of a person, don't flinch when they're angry. Sort of giving them the space for the big emotions, because the 8s are also quite expressive. Not backing down from that, letting them know that like, that's okay. It's actually okay to be angry. And leading with your own vulnerability can be a really powerful way to open the door for the 8 to see their anger for what it might actually be, or for the sort of softer things within themselves that they're trying to protect in that experience of grief.
And would you say that, I mean, obviously it's important for all of us to understand our own number, but like in terms of the grief supporter relationship, I know that as an 8, when I'm supporting somebody, either, for free, because I'm telling you for free, or I'm actually telling you for a fee, like I have to be conscious of my filter of being an 8, because I'll have a griever who's not angry and I'll tell you what, I'm like, what? How are we going to get you pissed off? And I have to like keep myself in check because I can feel myself wanting that for them and from them because of my own stuff, right? Like how I see the world.
Right.
So, being a 9, supporting an 8 would be really tricky if peace
Certainly.
is the thing, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, that would be terrifying for the 9. And so I always contend that the most powerful work we can do with our Enneagram, or with the knowledge of the Enneagram, is our own type, is to like really understand our motivations. But, and also I think there is a gift that each Enneagram type can offer every Enneagram type. And for a rowdy 8 that is very comfortable in their anger, for a 9 to invite stillness and sort of like, hey, what, and to create space for the 8. The 8 can take up so much space. So the 9 gets to be really, really, really spacious. That can be an extraordinary gift if the 9 can sort of stand in the groundedness of their power, which often they're asleep to. They're not
Right.
Oh, I'm actually kind of a tough bitch too. Like,
Right. Like, look at how I can stay calm, everybody.
exactly. And there's the funny thing about our Enneagram types is we, the sort of classic presentation of our Enneagram type, the stereotypes that go along with each Enneagram type, is really our attempt to manufacture our gift. So for 8s, the gift of the 8 is empowerment. We are people who connect others to their agency, to their power. But when we are more constricted, we just want to be powerful. We want to sort of show might. And so our ego, so to speak, not in the kind of classic Freudian sense, but our personality is trying to recreate what is, when we get out of our own way, very natural for us.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, the 9, right? The beautiful gift of the 9 is wholeness and unity and reconciliation. It is kind of bringing back pieces that have been broken, but their personality tries to sweep things under the rug to keep the peace.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like off-brand version of what is their gift.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who would you move to next to talk about their type of grief process and what it would look like?
We can talk about the ones, round out
Right.
what is known as the gut center of intelligence. So, brief aside, the Enneagram is a system of 9 different types, and everything in the Enneagram can be broken down into chunks of 3, which are classically known as triads. And the framework I'm using right now, this sort of particular model of breaking down into 3s, are known as the centers of intelligence, which was the very basis of the Enneagram. So when the Enneagram was first presented, it wasn't 9 different types, it was these 3 different centers of intelligence within each person. We all have this somatic gut intelligence. When the hair on the back of your neck stands up, or when you get goosebumps and maybe you don't have words for it, but you're like, something's up, and my body is telling me that, and I know that. Our 8, 9, and 1 live there. They also have access to an emotional center of intelligence and an intellectual center of intelligence, but they really lead from that body place. And there are gifts to that, and there are drawbacks to that.
Yeah.
And they all orient around anger. So as chill as the 9 appears, there's a lot of rage in there. They're a lot more diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
The 1s are sort of a funny mix between the 8s and the 9s, in that 1s are often referred to as the perfectionist or the reformer. They are not as good as pretending that they're not pissed off. They are, we can tell, because their jaw is clenched like a vice. But for a 1 who sees the world as a really messy, destructive, imperfect place, they feel a great responsibility to not contribute to that chaos. And so they feel self-righteously angry all the time, but then they're like, but I can't give that an outlet because that'll just make things worse. That'll make things feel irrational. So for the 1, they feel a lot of anger, they swallow it, they wrestle it. They're much more aware of it than perhaps the 9 is, but they're much less willing to express it like the 8 is. And so giving them the permission to curse, break things, express their anger, and be irrational about it. Ones often want to come across as very rational and well-researched, and to give them the space for things to like not make perfect sense and just like be in your feelings, and they don't have to line up perfectly with reason.
Well, and I love in your book because you say, what if you just believe they're already perfect? Like,
Mhm.
what if you just believe things are already perfect? And I think that that is such a beautiful fundamental place to be. And as a griever, it's kind of tough to get there sometimes, right?
Yes.
Kind of tough to get there. But what we're not saying is like everything that's occurred is perfect, but that
Right.
the way you're doing it is
Yes.
perfect. So just
Yes.
do it.
Right.
Right? Is that what you're saying? I
Yeah.
said we, but it's
I
you. I
it's
didn't write the book.
spoiling. It's spoiling. There was universal wisdom that I know you contributed to that I downloaded.
I love how
Yeah,
I slide into more than your DM right now. I'm like sliding into the front cover.
I think I'm trying to remember. I didn't include this in the book, but there was years ago in my like chaplaincy days and my campus ministry days, actually, we were talking about this idea of perfection and in the sort of context of to I mean, this is loaded, but like to try to be faithful perfectly. And someone really nailed the description there, which was like, it's not about doing things correctly. It's about doing things kind of wholeheartedly, like fully sending is what perfection is really about. It's I'm going to commit to this, and I'm going to commit to the process of this unfolding, which I will have trust will lead us to where we need to go. That's kind of how I see that acceptance and perfection in conversation with one another in the one.
And I think that also is just like a really any of the numbers could cling to as far as the grief
Yes.
process goes, for
Yes.
sure, because it's such an uncontrolled environment.
Yes.
And to in some way find the one little cell of your body that says this is a process and I
Yes.
am enduring and I am doing it right because I'm doing it. That's it.
Yes. Yes.
You're doing it right because you're doing it.
Yep, exactly. I'm attending to the grief and I'm not shoving it away. And
Right.
that is all it needs from me.
Right. Or today I have to go to work, so I'm not going to be in a puddle, and that is how I have to do today. And
Right.
that is also okay. And because I'm doing it,
Exactly.
it's like if the ultimate goal is learning to live with,
Yes.
then we can't stop living.
No, we
Okay.
can't. Yeah. Yeah.
Next, the strings
two.
attached to.
Yeah. 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 Little marionettes. We are edging into what is known as the heart center, which, as you can imagine, is made up of some real care bears. We have types 2, 3, and 4 that exist in the heart center of intelligence. These are folks who are all quite emotionally attuned. They have kind of a heart that is magnetically drawn out of them, but they do a lot of performing because there's this question that haunts them of like, who am I? The question of identity. And is that person deserving of love? So there's a lot of shame around that question as they shape shift to try to get the person in front of them to reflect their value.
Wow.
And that is often at the core of their grief, I couldn't be enough for this person and now they're gone. And so that's like one less person to kind of affirm my value as a human. And twos in particular, talk about, I mean, twos are usually the caregivers. I think one of their sort of archetypal names is the caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
So they are often in a space of taking care of either people who are suffering or people who are grieving. And the two's expression of care is to really lean in and to sort of see what is unmet in others and to meet it. But the twos are afraid that they are ultimately unlovable, that there is not enough love in the world for them. And so they will overextend themselves into others to try to kind of be so indispensable that, of course, you have to love me because I do so much for you.
Because basically, if I can make it that you can't live without me.
Yep.
Well, then what a terrifying place to be if you're grieving and you don't have what it takes, the capacity to be in that over functioning role.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where does that leave me if I'm really required to receive and I don't even have what it takes to keep up my show on a normal day?
It is the like spiritual dark night of the soul for the two is like being in the receiving position, is like being
geez.
who has to be taken care of. And they'll fight you on it. They will. And so supporting a two through grief or even just like to hold boundaries is to assure them that their worth goes far beyond just the simple favors they do for you and the sort of like indispensable character that they have created for themselves, and that they are allowed to have needs. Those matter. And learning how to receive actually like makes you a more generous giver.
Yeah, I can see that. So really the ultimate message for the two in grief is like, I love you anyway.
Yes.
I still love you.
I love you anyway.
Regardless of this, I love you. I'm here.
Yes.
Please take my gift of time, energy, resource, a meal, whatever.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's not selfish, and you give so much. Let us give back to you. Yeah.
Do me a favor by taking this gift. Then they're actually doing something still.
That's a good life hack for it too. You're doing me the favor.
Oh, gosh, one of my best friends is a two. I mean, she is a bright pink too. And she texted me the other day, hey, I've got this question. This person I met could really use your help with this thing. What do you think? And I said, well, let me just sit on it because all the things in my life that are moving the gears. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I never should have asked. I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay that you asked. But there's that idea then that like, oh, I pushed it too far. I asked for something.
Yes.
And now there goes the love. Shit.
Yes, exactly. They're very afraid to burden anybody with any of their needs. That feels really scary, that they might tip the scales too far in the other direction, and now they're too needy and you don't love them.
Oh, twos, we love you.
I know.
You don't have to be on the stage. We love you. And especially if you're grieving, let us help you. We're here for you. Twos are probably like my biggest listeners because it requires so little of the world for them to receive this, right? Like they're probably the ones that are taking all the things in that just show up in the world that impact no one.
The twos are taking notes. They're like your biggest listeners because this is how I can be even more generous.
I can do it better yet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh gosh. And then the poor threes, they must be so worried about doing it right. Doing the grief process right.
Well, threes are funny. Threes, sometimes those feelings can feel really scary. To even like acknowledge, or I mean, they're not unlike eights in that regard. Like it just sometimes feels too soft to get close to, because you might see the veneer drop, right? You might see the sort of dullness or how ill-equipped they were to deal with the loss or the grief. It might reveal something that is not competent and shiny and impressive within them.
Right. And so at that point, if you're a three, and Elizabeth shared that she listened to the episode with Shannon Kelly earlier, go ahead and listen to that episode, because in that episode, we give you the award for sadness. And so you can too be the very best. You too can get the award for sadness. Number three, you can be the very saddest and be the winner of that group.
Well, the fours are going to fight you on that, but
oh yeah, there we go. They get the award for special sadness.
Yeah, yes, the most unique.
Three can be the best at it.
Yes, yeah. That is honestly the best way to describe the difference between the competitiveness in the three and the competitiveness in the four, because they're both competitive, and the two is as well. But the three wants to be the best. The three wants you to see their competence, see what is impressive. The fours just want you to remember them. So like they're not afraid to make a scene and to be like the ex that you like cringe when you think back on them. They're like, Yeah, you still remember me though. There's
like all press is good press. Hey?
Exactly. That's exactly the phrase I use to talk about the fours. Yeah, all attention is good attention, and they're not afraid to make a spectacle of themselves to show how unique and different they are.
Mm-hmm.
And
So if a griever is a 3 and they're attached to being the best at something, can we tell them like you're doing, would it be a good thing to like know that telling them they're doing it right would be a way in? Or like reaffirming their efforts?
I think so. I think it's funny. Threes put a lot of pressure on themselves to do it right, to look pulled together. I think actually giving them the space that they don't like. You actually don't have to. There isn't a right way to do it. This is trial and error, and it's nonlinear, and just showing up is enough. Just sitting with your grief. The thing about the threes is they often want to do something with it. And so inviting them to not do anything, just sit with it.
Right. Like create a very small checklist of things that they can say, oh, I am doing this. I'm sitting with it.
Exactly.
I'm being with it and I'm doing that well because once again, if you're doing it, you're doing it well.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of this.
Right. Yeah. So it's actually inviting them to do less with it and just be with it.
And then congratulate them for doing that so well.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Give them that.
But really, right?
Yeah.
Like we gotta speak the language, and
yes.
And if you're a supporter and you're like pulling your hair out, wondering what am I supposed to do with my person? Like listen to these things because the way in which you present the information, it really matters.
It will land differently depending on the different types. It will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I mean, as an 8, if somebody's like, you just need to create, I'd be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what to do with your instruction manual. You're not going to tell me what to do.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so 4, sweet little unique for special little griever.
Yeah, special little grievers. So one of the really difficult double binds that 4s often find themselves in is they have this belief that the world only has love for those who are distinct and make an impact. And so they often will perform their distinction, perform their uniqueness. And the experience of being misunderstood is a real push-pull for them because it makes them feel special, but it's also deeply frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody understands my depth, my mystery, my experience, and I am so unique that I cannot be understood, and that is why I will never feel complete or whole or fulfilled.
Which I can only imagine would be really enhanced in a grief experience because all of us in a grief experience are feeling like we are not understood. This is totally unique to me. Nobody's ever felt this sad in their life. Nobody loved the person the way I did, right? Like the whole experience is by virtue of the experience very unique. And so then if you're already seeing the world through a place where you are the unique one, I could see that being really, like you said, a double bind, like, oh, just so much harder almost.
Right. It creates isolation, but it also makes them feel like, well, I am distinct. Like this is proving that I am special. But that's loaded for them too, because I think there is in all the heart center types, there is a desire to be truly seen for who they are and to be affirmed that they are deserving of love. And so 4s experience a lot of frustration around that experience of being misunderstood because it feels again like it is this sort of fundamental piece of the mystery that they are, but it also keeps the thing that they ultimately desire just out of reach. And so for 4s, I think what can be really powerful, 4s are the deep sea divers. They are very good at sitting with other people in their grief. That is one of their superpowers. They help make meaning. So to support a 4 in grief is to hold space for them to receive that experience and to not sort of, not necessarily try to distill what they are saying, but just give them long runway to express it all. And just externalize and externally process it, um, and ask them what meaning they're making of their grief. Invite that in them.
I love that. Where is the meaning in this, even in this moment for you in this process, right? Like helping them just be able to put a little bit of a finger on that.
Yeah,
Huh.
exactly.
That's good. And I think too, like our tendency to feel like as supporters, the only way to support is to somehow understand. We have this, we're compelled to be trying, like in the dressed up as empathy. I'm going to try and understand where you're coming from and put myself in your shoes and do all that. There's sometimes when I think that's lovely and helpful, but I do think the minute we're saying, oh, let me get into your shoes, then I'm the one wearing the shoes and it's about me. So I don't think that's required. But I guess with a 4, it would be specifically sensitive to like force that I understand part, because that's not going to soothe them.
No.
Is that right?
It will actually create more distress in them. And in some ways, it sort of invalidates what was genuinely special about their relationship with the thing that they are grieving.
And so that's a good entry point too, then, for support is like, tell me about the things that were special.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me what nobody else knows that you know about this person or about this.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. That goes in the book.
We got to take notes. I'm glad
we got to take this. Yeah, that's what you recorded. Trademark, everybody. Everything we've said today is trademark.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you dare. Or copyright it or whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
This is protected.
We're a bunch of 8s. We don't even need the legal backing. We'll come find you.
I'll just come hunt you down. You think you know grief? Not till you've met this one.
I'll show you grief.
God, we could really probably go on and on. Hey, Elizabeth.
I imagine.
Okay, the 5, the mysterious 5. Like, I think of all the numbers, the 5 to me is just the most mysterious, which is interesting because we as 8 spend some time in the 5, but I don't get it.
So 5s are my favorite because they are these surprising little weirdos. They have such a rich internal life that they hide from everyone because the way they have experienced the world is as incredibly overwhelming. It's just so chaotic and overwhelming. And so they are deeply, deeply sensitive little hermit crabs. And that inner sensitivity puts them right at the edge of overwhelm without anybody else weighing in, which is why they're similar to the 8s again, in that like my instinct is to protect. All of the types are trying to protect, but the 5 does it through the disguise of being boring. They're not boring people, but they camouflage their like really kind of freaky little weird selves by just blending in to the background and not sharing their inner world.
Which is scary, slippery slope for supporters taking care of a 5. I mean, I may know a couple people married to 5s. Those people may be referred to as emotional robots inside conversations.
Yes.
But just because your sweet little griever looks like an emotional robot,
they are not.
They are not.
The image I like to present for 5s is they are like a duck kind of gliding across the water on a pond, right? It looks very serene, peaceful, even keeled, but underneath the surface, their feet are just fluttering like crazy. And that's what's going on within the 5. There is so much mental activity and emotional activity that again just puts them right on the brink of being overloaded and overstimulated. And so they armor up by coming across as really robotic and even keeled and insensitive sometimes, and really aloof. Distance is a big defense measure for them. They will isolate themselves, giving them space, but then inviting them back in.
Like not giving up on them. I hear that. Yes. Like, don't give up on them. Just because they look like the duck on the pond does not mean you should stop caring. Not stop caring, but not stop trying, not stop showing up.
Exactly. Really, like a big fear for the 5 is being seen as incompetent or unable to meet the demands of their relationships, of daily life, of their own emotions. And so showing them as much as you can how their relationship with you can actually be a source of replenishment and is not just going to deplete them. So consistency, predictability as you're caring for a 5 is really, really important for them to feel able to open up and let you see some of that inner world.
Okay. So one of my friends, he's a 5. He's like, oh, I live in the castle and I've got the moat around me.
Yep.
Then another friend heard him say that and said, well, I'm a 5 too, and I've got the drawbridge up and I lit the moat on fire. And so as supporters, we have to figure out, like, where can I be the fire extinguisher for the moat? And
Yep.
how do I get you to feel like it's going to be okay to release the drawbridge, right?
Right.
Like just, and you're saying like consistency, predictability,
transparency,
and presented in a way that there's like a reward almost for it. Like,
yeah,
trust me, you'll be glad you did this.
Yes.
It won't take more from you.
Right. And
by letting me in.
The thing I also remind 5s of is like letting people in will show you how much more you are capable than you think you are.
Ooh, and I bet they're up for a good challenge.
They are. They like a good like you can do.
Say that one more time. So letting me in
will show you how much more you are capable of than you think you are.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
they need to hear that.
Them with their competence, with the like, you've got this. You actually have everything you need. I think the end of the type 5 chapter is one of my favorites because it's like such a rallying. I got to just like write a love letter to them. And I was like, you not only have enough for yourself, you have so much to give. And like, if you just open up a tiny crack, like, oh my goodness, the way you can contribute to this world is going to shock you, but not the rest of us. We know.
Yeah. We know that it's in there. Please, God, give it to us. Please let us in.
Please,
let us in. Don't be a robot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I do feel like this is a good place to pause. True. And I want to say, like, let's say you listeners, this is new information for you and you're really excited about it. Where would we send people so that they're more prepared for the next episode about this?
Yes. So shameless plug, but free, is my Instagram account, which is Rude Ass Enneagram.
Okay.
You will get your feelings hurt, but you will learn a lot about each type and the way that they sort of operate. I would say there are some really incredible free resources at the Enneagram Institute, which is a wonderful website with type descriptions. And similarly, Dr. David Daniels wrote one of the sort of foundational typing resources, the Essential Enneagram, and he has a wonderful free website. I believe it's just daviddaniels.com that has really thorough type descriptions as well. So you can really nerd out and get into the Enneagram system and sort of catch a glimpse of each of the different types.
And do you have a place where you send folks to take the test? And do you think taking the test is mandatory, or could you read about the descriptions and figure it out that way?
So my caveat on tests is they are a wonderful way to narrow down some options. So I'm not opposed to taking a test. And there are some really great free ones out there. I'll give you all the links. So
okay, perfect.
Eclectic Energies has a great free one. It's a little bit long, but and then the Enneagram Institute has a paid one you can take that's well vetted. That book, The Essential Enneagram by Dr. David Daniels, is actually, you read 9 different paragraphs, each one, describing a particular different type, and you pick your top 3. So testing is great to narrow down some options, but if you just want to nerd out and read, like nerd out and read and see what resonates and take your time. You don't have to figure out exactly what your type is. It's just helpful to start to understand the language and the framework and to recognize yourself in however many types you do recognize yourself in.
Yeah, I love that. And like I teach at graduate school, and on our breaks, I'm like, your only homework over break is to be clear on your Enneagram number. Like as a clinician, especially, I just think it is so important that we understand who we are and who, the way we see our role in the world. And I do so deeply believe the Enneagram is an incredible tool for understanding that better.
Yeah,
All right, everybody. You got to come back for the second episode because
stay
this
tuned.
has been great. And that, an hour that flies by is one of my favorite
It
hours.
did.
So
It really
it went
did.
by so quickly.
I know. I feel like we've been talking for 10 minutes, but
I know. Okay, so follow Elizabeth, Rude Ass Enneagram. Follow me, of course. Come back for more, and we will pick this up where we left off.
Yes, perfect.
Thanks, everybody.